Candace Owens, it has been normalized. Okay, she has a massive audience, massive platform.
Hey, by the way, Nick Fuentes, he's mainstream. He happens to be really good friends with Ye. He's had dinner with the president of the United States. He's mainstream now. So, I mean, I don't know what you want us to say about the guy, all right?
We should work together.
Trump has done some positive things today, which is a bit shocking. We'll see if it holds.
Brace for impact. Right?
Yeah, I know. Oh my God. So I've been getting yelled at online all day.
So what's new?
I know, right? What you're saying that Trump enforcing a ceasefire against Israel is a good thing? No, boo! We don't want Israel to have a ceasefire. No, but wait, we do want Israel to comply with a ceasefire. No, you have to hate Trump anyway. Okay, all right. Well, anyway, we'll adjudicate. We'll sort that out. Okay.
I think one of the best things that you can do to kind of understand this current political moment, because a lot of things don't make sense if you're kind of operating based on the old partisan lens. I wish that things were as cut and clear as they might have been in the early aughts, but they're not. They're not, and it's hard to make sense of how things are changing and realigning. We'll talk about this tomorrow, so I have time to produce it, but Candace Owens was on Piers Morgan today for a one-on-one interview. That interview blew my mind, okay? Because everything she said was accurate. Everything she-
Oh my God. Oh no. All right, well, I guess let's start with Candace Owens. Candace Owens says Israel bad. Benjamin Netanyahu bad. Cool. She also promotes like the Elders of Zion tier anti-Semitic conspiracies. She's an actual anti-Semite. Yeah. She is not like, I know the fact that she's a raging homophobe and raging transphobe doesn't really resonate with TYT anymore. But if that's not enough for you, yeah, she's one of the people who's both deeply anti-Semitic and also criticizes Israel. So I don't see any benefit in trying to be like, well, she was right. You know what videos she was doing in between going off about like the Justin Baldoni case? She just couldn't stop talking about it. Has she made a video on the fact that Justin Baldoni's case actually got thrown out, by the way? Maybe they'll do a recap on that. I'm not entirely sure, but it would be talking about that, and then might be talking about Daily Wire, why they left, or stuff like that, and then it'll be an entire special, because she did an entire special on how the president of France, his wife, Emmanuel Macron's wife, has a penis, and there's like an entire special on that. And then she's like, I'm one of the only people who's actually talking about this and bringing attention to this. But she absolutely has a penis and is a man. And Emmanuel Macron married a man. And so it's like, well, I don't see any benefit to like looking over there. It's like saying Alex Jones is right about something, right? It's like, sure. I mean, a guy who broadcasts for like 4 or 5 hours every single day and says 100,000 incorrect or infactual statements, ideally, at some point is going to say something correct, right? Like if he's in the middle of being like, then there's a whole series of deep paleo-skinned pig fetuses that are being used to propagate the gender ideology for the elites and the globalists, and it's also 47 degrees outside. And then you're like, oh, that last part, he was right. Technically, he was actually looking at the Weather Channel. But he said that part is right. Everything else was wrong. But you could also go to the Weather Channel to find that information out. You don't need to turn it out and say, oh yeah, Alex Jones actually correctly stated that it was the temperature that it was outside, in amongst all the other batshit stuff, the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and all that. But he got one thing right. So there you have it.
Said was true, and everything she said is reminiscent of what you would hear from a left-wing show arguing against essentially aiding and abetting Israel in its genocide in Gaza, for instance.
Yeah,
so let her do that in her lane, and we don't need to on the other end be like, hey, by the way, I mean, Candace Owens, she's speaking the truth right now, because that could then direct a lot of your audience to go being like, oh, maybe I had her wrong. I should go check out what she's about. And then they're gonna have to watch another special that she just did on why Harvey Weinstein is innocent, actually. And she actually interviews him from prison. And she tries to break down the case as actually being one in which he was falsely accused. Not to say that he did great things, but was it sexual assault? Were the women asking for it? We need to ask these really important questions. this is not me making up a scenario. That's an actual video that she put out on Harvey Weinstein and trying to, like, you know, say the guy was actually falsely accused and then to rehabilitate his image and all that kind of stuff. She's a monster. She does monstrous things. Don't send anyone over to that corner to be like, but she is right on this one issue when it happens to be something that you would think that most of humanity should just be on board with, but
I'll say it. They had a whole giant Piers Morgan episode about this massive split in MAGA. But I went on Kyle and Krystal just a couple of days ago, and they think there's no split at all.
No, there's definitely a split, right?
Like, I mean, but that's...
You got so fucking served. That was so embarrassing. You tried to do the whole exact fucking song and dance about how, like, this is the problem with the left. They refuse to even listen to the other side. And Krystal's like, I literally do a show with a Republican. That's what I'm known for. What are you talking about? I don't refuse to talk to the other side.
That's what they said. So I don't know if they're on this planet. And when I asked them if they were on this planet, they seem to get mad, and they were, by the way, to be fair to them, they're representing their audience, and their audience doesn't see it at all. That's because they're not getting accurate information. Well, like, if you think there's no MAGA split in the country, you're a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
So hold on.
Whoa.
I wouldn't say they're not getting accurate information. I trust that Krystal and Kyle are giving accurate information.
No, I just mean in general.
Hold on, but what I think is...
Wait, no, hold on, because why don't we stick to the facts here, okay? Are there a bunch of right-wingers fighting each other, pundits? Absolutely. Are there right-wingers and pundits, right, and even politicians in the case of Marjorie Taylor Greene, who have been trying to say, I believe in America first, I don't want to go to war with Iran, I don't want to fight Iran, I believe in America first. Is that happening? Yeah, of course. No one's blind. No one on the left is saying that isn't happening either. I'm celebrating it. I want to be the motherfucking gasoline that gets Matt Walsh and Sneeko to fight each other every day. Because as long as Matt Walsh and Sneeko are fighting each other, they're not going after trans people. That's a couple minutes where you can actually, like, just breathe a sign of relief and think they're not going to go after the queers. So yeah, absolutely, I want them to fight each other. Let them all fight. Every single one of them. Let them destroy each other, actually. You know, double KO would be the absolute awesome possible outcome. There's a huge difference between that and actually trying to enact or change or do anything to limit Trump's power or to stop the wars. Because there were bills. There were bills in both the House and the Senate, of which there was only one Republican, Thomas Massey, who was willing to sign on board of it. The rest of them were all Democrats, mostly only progressives. That was it. And not a single one of those motherfucking pundits, the people that we're supposed to be praising right now, like Candace Owens, for example, was telling her audience to get involved, was telling her audience, you should be trying to stop or limit Trump's wartime powers. It is illegal for him to try and do war without congressional approval. Guess what? There are bills that we could enact right now. Please call your representatives, talk to Republicans, talk to Republican lawmakers, get them involved. And even when Kyle and Krystal were bringing that up to Cenk, he's like, I know, but you don't understand. MAGA overwhelmingly doesn't support this. Well, here we go. According to a CBS News poll, YouGov, that was taken between June 22nd and 24, 2025, in terms of the U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, those who approve, the Democrats, 13% approve, 87% disapprove. Of independents, only 36% approve, 64% disapprove. Republicans, 85% approve of Trump striking Iran. Only 15% disapprove. But wait, I hear you say, this is that juicy 15% that Cenk keeps talking about, the MAGA, the populists. It's the populists, and this is what we need to spend all of our effort, all of our time reaching out to, having beers with, trying to work with, because ultimately that juicy 15%, which again is just comical when you've got other groups that seem to be much more in support of something that you are trying to fight for. But either way, if you want to go down the path of madness, here we have it. Well, let's look a little closer. For all Republicans, it's 85%. For MAGA, it's 90-fucking-4. The disapproval is not coming from MAGA. They are a cult. The MAGA Republicans are the ones who are like, he is benevolent in all ways. Yes, may he strike Iran down with a righteous and furious anger, usher in the 1,000 years of our glorious leader as he did. Like, that's MAGA, all right? For the all Republicans, the disapproval rate, 15%. For MAGA, it's fucking 6. This is a joke. It's an absolute joke. And to keep going down this as if either it's a real thing or it's worth your time, again, is absurd. It's like, I feel bad for the last remaining TYT members who in their hearts aren't bad people, but they are simply huge fans. They have been for a long time. Cenk and Anna have got them through a lot of periods, and you know, their news coverage is important to them. I understand that. You have a parasocial relationship with the network, and part of you does feel that, like, you know, while I don't agree maybe with all of their takes or some of the weird transphobic takes or stuff like that, they are fighting the good fight, and so I want to be on board. And it really does seem like, I think it was Matt Binder who said this, Cenk doesn't respect you. Because if he did, he would stop lying to you, because you know he knows better.
An issue, and I was guilty of this. This was an issue that I had in the way that I was covering stories of some years ago. It's that you end up in a bubble and you don't even realize it.
Oh,
right?
That's definitely right.
And when you're in that bubble, there's certain information that's not getting to you. You have to literally.
A lot of people are being like, I feel attacked. That was me 2 years ago, not now. You just described my uncle. Again, they could be lovely, wonderful people. That's what I'm saying. There could be people who genuinely, they're not, like, you know, still following the show because they agree with how ludicrous this entire strategy is, but they're having to be force-fed it consistently and having to be there and be like, but MAGA doesn't want anti-war. That's just doesn't bear itself out in the facts. Are we fighting for the 6% of MAGA polled who actually didn't want Trump to strike Iran? Like, would they even have done anything about it? Like, even that 6%, I don't think if you had said to them, hey, would you, if you could, vote right now to limit Trump's wartime powers? I don't think any of them would say yes. I think they would be like, I disagree with what he's doing, but he's the president and he should be allowed to do what he needs to do. That's what I would pretty much say about that.
Actively seek it out because of these algorithms serving up what the algorithm thinks you want to know or thinks you want to see.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything that Candace Owens believes in. Obviously we don't.
Oh, thank God.
But that interview was fire.
So Emmanuel
Everything
Macron's
she said
wife
in that
doesn't have a
interview
penis.
was correct. And if you can't give her credit for saying things that we on the left believe, you really have to ask yourself, how are you operating? Are you operating based on, you know, supporting a specific tribe no matter what?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take this a couple steps further, because I think we need to go to extreme scenarios for this to really resonate. Say the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan released a video, and he was like, hey y'all, I don't believe that we should be supporting Israel. Would you be like, I am no fan, you know, generally of anything that, you know, the Grand Wizard of the KKK says, and most of the time, you know, I would definitely say that David Duke or whoever is leading it now, I have no idea, some fucking shitty ass white person, I would say that they are just a white supremacist piece of shit. But in this case, they are saying something that I think more people need to hear. It might actually even hurt our cause, yeah. Ultimately, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it could hurt the Palestinian cause to have people who are anti-Semites or who are bigots or who are transphobes or who are homophobes suddenly say, hey, this is a person that I want to platform, or this is a person that I want to shout out, or this is a person that I want to prop up, because those same people, if other people were to look at that, they could be like, but this same person has said vile, horrifying things. I mean, in the case of Candace Owens, do we need to pull up her Hitler quotes? Did you see her face when her own Hitler quotes were played in front of her on a cell phone and she had to sit there and listen to them? They're not good. She's not a good person. She's a very bad person. She is very popular on YouTube right now, though. Immensely popular. We're talking like Hasanabi levels of popular. So if you were someone who was trying to cozy up to, say, a new audience and hopefully one day maybe get on their show, or maybe one day be featured on their show or something like that, and you kind of wanted to go down that angle, that's really different. That's different than saying this is all part of a broader strategy to be able to achieve peace by any means, right?
Yes, that's definitely what they're doing.
And if you do that, well, then you're not driven by policy. You're not driven by actually accomplishing the policies that we think will make the country better.
Yeah, look, it's not about Colin Krystal at all. I mean, oftentimes, I think sometimes these days, it used to be oftentimes, they're usually among the more reasonable. But these days, like, if you're on the left and you're watching any of the other shows.
Wait, Krystal and Kyle are max left too now? Oh no, that sucks. I mean, great for them. Probably great for their careers too. I mean, Cenk is the provider, you know? Just look at the Vanguard. He is just setting up generational wealth for those two. Silly and Billy are going to be okay. They're going to be taken care of for years to come. But oh yeah, so Krystal and Kyle are now, I guess, Max Left. All right, well, welcome aboard. It's fun to be on the Max Left. Yeah, we're Max Left and over here, fucking woke as fuck, baby. Woke too. Omega woke. The time has come. The great wokening.
You're not getting accurate information at all. They're telling you that the actual Trump voters are liars and they love war. That's not true at all, right? So that's, some of the Trump voters will do whatever Trump wants, but a lot of them are actually anti-war. And they're making it seem like almost all the other left-wing shows as if,
I'm not going to put the stats back on. You already saw them. You know why this is bullshit. But even then, even if it was that it was like a 50-50, say that was how it like bore out. It was like 50% of Trump voters support, military strikes on Iran. 50% of Trump voters support military intervention in the Middle East. 50%. Even if it was that, all right. So I grant you. Here we go. Best of faith. 50-50, something like that. How many of that 50% who are against are going to do anything material? You understand there's a massive difference between the two. Because I talk shit about libs all the time, but there has been a lot of moments recently where libs are getting off the fucking couch and doing something about the shit they see. And that's why a lot of the times I'm like, I think people are very quick to want to be like, oh, people are terrible. And this includes Republicans or right-wingers too. There are people who are Republicans or right-wingers who might necessarily not be 100% full-blown Nazis or not be 100% into the whole like gender ideology and shit like that. But when it comes to like the way that libs and the well-to-do libs, not the ones who are like, I want brunch back, but the ones who are actually like, I didn't know. I didn't know how vile and racist and horrifying ICE truly was. I acknowledge now it's a bad thing that Joe Biden was funding them. I acknowledge now it's a bad thing that Democrats have been supporting them. I actually am disgusted by Democrats as well too. I want to change. I want something new. There's so much more room to grow there. There's so much more room to be like, yes, absolutely, come. We have so much to talk about. We have so much to share. There's wonderful things that we're going to be. We have cookies. Let's hang out. Let's talk about this stuff. And in the case of the libs, by the way, a lot of them, they've already got a lot of the like. It's a lot easier to talk to people who do not think that you are some kind of a degenerate Satanist demon simply for the people that you love. That does help, right? Like, so if you were talking to someone who's like, oh, you're gay. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, you're a degenerate Satanist demon. Well, that's going to make the whole, oh, I got to talk to you about liberation. I got to talk to you about how we do this. I got to talk, like, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for sure. But for a lot of the libs who are currently protesting and currently getting active and currently maybe getting active for the first time in their lives, that is a net good thing. It honestly, the more people who are realizing, like David fucking Hogg. All right, I'm the last person in the world who genuinely imagined that I in my lifetime would be retweeting David fucking Hogg. But right now, oh man, that guy is going hog wild for fucking leftism. And he's coming out there and being like, I am so fucking sick of the corporate Democrats. I'm so fucking sick of this notion that like a better world is impossible. We have seen that with our own eyes. Fucking let's primary every single one of these old ghouls who wants to support Israel, who wants to fight in the forever wars, who wants to fucking bankrupt our country for the rich class, the rich, like, there you go. Rather than Candace Owens said Israel bad, David Hogg is now using his platform actively to be like, wake the fuck up, let's primary every single AIPAC-funded politician. A lot more potential there for doing activism and moving stuff in a better direction kind of stuff, right?
The most extreme MAGA guy represents all 77 million Trump voters. And if you believe that, then you'll hate them. Of course, you'll want to call them fascists and racists and Nazis and all those things. But that's maniacal. No, as you get closer to the middle, there's a lot of former Obama voters, former Bernie voters, anti-war voters, anti-establishment voters, and almost none of the other left-wing shows are acknowledging that. They're out in la la land. And
what are you talking? That's all anyone has been doing. He was tweeting about this shit while Zoran was on the verge of victory, by the way. He was doing this, the Max Left purists will tell you there is nothing to gain by working with MAGA. And yet I see. And I was like, I don't have time for whatever weird grift you want to do right now. I'm too excited. This is too amazing. Right? It's taking place right before our eyes. We are seeing a goddamn socialist about to win a Democratic primary for mayor in the largest and richest city in America. Let's do that. Meanwhile, Trump, by the way, the whole, I gotta give it the Trump shit. I wonder if that was before he tweeted this out, or sorry, truthed. Breaking news. I was shocked to hear that the state of Israel, which has just one of its greatest moments in history and is strongly led by Bibi Netanyahu, is continuing its ridiculous witch hunt against their great wartime prime minister. Bibi and I just went through hell together, fighting a very tough and brilliant longtime enemy of Israel. Iran and Bibi could not have been better, sharper, and stronger in this love for the incredible Holy Land. Anyone else who would have suffered losses, embarrassment, and chaos. Bibi Netanyahu was a warrior, like perhaps no other warrior in the history of Israel, and the result was something that nobody thought was possible: a complete elimination of potentially one of the biggest, most powerful nuclear weapons anywhere in the world. International organizations have confirmed that they have not slowed down or destroyed the nuclear capabilities at all, by the way. The only people saying that are MAGA and Trump. But again, keep believing it. And it was going to happen soon. We were fighting, literally, for the survival of Israel. And there is nobody in Israel's history that just fought harder or more competently than Benjamin Netanyahu. Despite all this, I just learned that Bibi has been summoned to court on Monday for the continuation of his long reign. He has been going through this horror show since May of 2020. Unheard of. This is the first time a sitting Israeli prime minister has ever been on trial. Politically motivated case concerning cigars, a Bugs Bunny doll, and numerous other unfair charges in order to do him great harm. Such a witch hunt for a man who has given so much is unthinkable to me. He deserves much better than this, and so does the state of Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu's trial should be cancelled immediately, or a pardon given to a great hero who has done so much for the state. Perhaps there is no one that I know of who could have worked better in harmony with the President of the United States, me, than Bibi Netanyahu. It was the United States of America that saved Israel, and now is going to be the United States of America that saves Bibi Netanyahu. This travesty of justice cannot be allowed. Prepare yourselves, everybody, because I'm going to do something that I haven't done before. That's going to give the liberals, the Democrats, a massive ass win. All right, they're going to get a big W. It's going to happen before your very eyes. So, you know, to all the libs and the lib pundits and everyone, I will admit, I do not believe that Kamala Harris would have done this. There is a distinct difference between the two potential outcomes. Do I believe she would have gone to war with Iran? Absolutely. Yep. In the same way. You know, most likely whatever is going on behind the scenes are not the stuff that all of us are privy to, and whatever discussions are happening between Israel and America, I'm sure that the discussions entailed, hey, by the way, Israel is going to strike Iran is going to strike back, at which point, you know, we are going to do some military strikes, and then at that point, we're going to give them an opportunity to do an off-ramp, and then once they do the off-ramp, we can claim victory, we can say that we've completely eliminated their nuclear capabilities. This will give Benjamin Netanyahu an opportunity to not have to face trial for the many crimes that he's actually potentially going to be, you know, indicted for inside of the nation of Israel. He can leave the country for a little bit. He can go to Greece. Once he's in Greece, all those strikes will happen on his own citizens, and then after that is over, he can return, and then we'll go forward. Like all of that, sure. But she wouldn't have posted this. she would not have made this statement. So there you have it. She actually probably would have been completely fine with Benjamin Netanyahu potentially being taken down in court. Because at the end of the day, I think for the libs, things went a little too far. Now, that's not to say that they are absolved of genocide, that they are absolved of materially supporting Israel, or that they are good people. And yeah, no, I'm sorry. Genocide Joe is forever and always going to be Genocide Joe. And Kill Mala Harris has blood on her hands. Absolutely she does. She was the vice president of the United States overseeing a genocide. So yeah, horrifying people. But again, the bar is subterranean. It's beyond hell. It's just at this point so fucking abhorrent that we live in a world where it's like, there's two choices. One choice is a guy is quoting Hitler, and he's going to be even worse on genocide. The other choice is also for genocide, but they're not going to quote Hitler, and they're going to be in a really weird and fucked up and relative way, if you really want to trolley problem this, slightly less bad on these issues. So choose, go forth and make your picks. Ultra hell. Yeah, you know,
lying to their audience, and they're saying no, there's no split. They all will do whatever Trump wants. They're all the same voter. They're all hardcore MAGA, and they're all fascist. And by the way, as Kyle pointed at me and said, yes or no, is MAGA fascist?
Oh, we got a Kyle Kalinske impression. Very similar to the other impressions, I gotta say. Kind of one note, but hey, it's about time. And now here you have it. Cenk is debuting his Kyle Kalinske.
Fascist. Well, what an asinine question. What do you mean by MAGA? What do you mean? And do you mean Trump voters? Because No, not all Trump voters are fascist, but if you say that on another left-wing show, they'll lose their minds. They'll say, no, you have to call them fascists. I'm the purist, I'm the purist, I'm the most left.
That's fine.
Give me clicks, give me clicks.
I'm not interested in getting into the business of other shows and how they conduct business. You do you, boo.
Anymore? Because he used to go on some pretty weird rants about Hassan. That was deeply embarrassing. It's like, even if that was in your heart, I wouldn't put that out there for the world to see, kind of shit. I wouldn't want everyone to know that you were just jealous of his success and money. That's just seems like a weird thing to say out loud and then just be matter of public record. But yeah, you do, you boo. I guess, hey, I want to address Cenk directly here and this entire thing where it's like, and they want to tell you because they're so pure that, there's no such thing as anti-war MAGA, all that kind of stuff. Again, he only fights straw men, straw people, whatever you want to call them. He only fights, again, ghosts, apparitions, things like that he invents in his own mind, right? Like the leftists who just constantly call him a Nazi, even though I have yet to find where's the leftists who call him a Nazi. Can you present them to the court as evidence? But either way, to his point about, what if there is an anti-war MAGA or a Republican or someone who wants to say, hey, I don't want to be a part of this, I don't want to support the president. That's amazing. That's incredible. Every single one of us is not without sin. All of us have fucked up in our lives a ton, and we've probably done some terrible and awful shit, right? No one is asking anyone to be perfect or pure. That's just not what any of this is about. This is about the idea that, hey, we can all be better. We can be better people, we can have a better world, and we can have a more prosperous and generous world if we all unite against a common enemy, and now we all can realize what it is. It is the ruling elites. It is the rich billionaires and multimillionaires and all the corporations and the people who fucking have so much money that they invest in them as shareholders. They are the ones that are fucking up the planet for all of us. For all of us. And yeah, there's a ton of complexities to that. There's intersectionality, and we can get into those details later. But for the time being, if someone in their heart is like, I want to fight up against this, no leftist in the world is going to be like, but wait a minute. Did you used to watch Ben Shapiro at one point in your life? Who gives a fuck? I do not care who you may have watched at one point in your life. I do not care who may have took you down one particular rabbit hole or took you down one particular section of the internet. Do you realize now that things are very important? We live in dire times, that we need to actually all unite and fight against this shit, that they are actually the ones who are trying to divide us all. They tell us all that this is all about identity politics. They constantly reaffirm that idea that it's, hey, by the way, it's black people against white people. It's indigenous people against Asian people. It's gay versus straight. It's trans versus cis, all that kind of shit, because they are deadly afraid of all of those groups uniting together to fight them. So they have to spend trillions of dollars to consistently propagate culture wars, distractions, false consciousness, spread that shit to the masses. So everyone is there angry at beer cans and gay M&Ms and all that other shit, while rich people sit back and get fucking richer and fuck over everybody. They fuck over the working class. And that's the truth. And honestly, anyone else who's telling you different is lying to you to protect the fucking rich. It's why all the Republicans do it. It's why all the Democrats do it. It's why the liberal media does it. It's why the conservative media does it. It's why all of the mainstream media does it. They are all on board. They have class solidarity. The super rich sure as fuck have class solidarity. Look at what just happened with Zoran. That's such a perfect example. Why did you have all of these Republicans, right-wingers, fascists, MAGAs, neo-reactionaries alongside liberals, centrists, Democrats, elected officials, Bill Clinton, Laura Loomer, libs at TikTok, Charlie Kirk, Matt Walsh, all of them being like, he is the enemy. We must destroy him. We have to take him down. The mainstream media doing the same thing, all of a sudden putting story out after story out after story. He's a Nepo baby. He comes from a rich family. His mother was a famous director. She even had Disney films. Hey, by the way, he was in some of that. He was a hip hop artist. He's a scary Muslim man. Did you know that he's actually really frightening? He has said intifada before. He's actually a terrorist, a global jihadist. He wants to destroy 9/11. Look how fast that all happened. All of it, just all at once. And what was the guy at the end of the day? What was the core thing that really he was trying to tell people that resonated with everybody? I want you to have free transportation. I want you to have rent freezes. I want you to be able to afford to live. If you work a job where you are working 8 hours a day, you should be able to afford to feed your family. Let alone that, you should live well and prosper. You should be able to pay down a fucking mortgage. Not worry about whether or not you're going to have healthcare to give your kids. Not worry about whether or not your paycheck is going to make it enough to pay your fucking rent so you become homeless. And that resonates with people because it's true. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, he's right. So on the other side, both ends of the political spectrum that do not want the status quo to change, because on one end of that chain, they are benefiting somewhere. Somewhere along the pipeline, they benefit. It doesn't matter if it happens to be a billionaire who owns a fucking hedge fund who is then funding some kind of media apparatus, who is then funding, Dave Rubin. It doesn't matter at what point on that connection they are benefiting from the system staying as it is, so they are fucking terrified of things changing. They don't want wealth redistribution. They don't want fucking billionaires to be eliminated. Like the very concept of them should not exist kind of shit. So they have to continuously either keep you distracted with culture wars and then even use different tactics for different groups. Why do you think liberals, for example, are so indoctrinated into the idea that billionaires need to exist? Because at the end of the day, they are job providers. They are good. They are benevolent. They keep us employed. They are geniuses. They are titans of industry. They are super intelligent. They have been able to create so many amazing things that we find in our lives. Do you not realize how brilliant Steve Jobs was? Steve Wozniak was brilliant. He was honestly so far beyond his time. The things that he was capable of accomplishing were I can't even wrap my head around what he pulled off with such limited technology and was able to do that. And that was at the behest of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was like, do a thing for me. I want it to be end to end. Make it 20 times better and faster. And then a genius, yes, had to be able to pull that off. Engineers have to be able to pull that off. Workers have to be able to pull that off. People who work for the CEOs, people who build the shit, people who make the stuff, people who are in the fucking factories. That's how this all works. And so, yeah, you're going to be spreading a myth constantly that for a company to be able to succeed, it has to be able to grow. As it grows, it has to be able to, dominate its one particular field. It becomes the best because at the end of the day, capitalism is all about voting with your dollar and your wallet, and then you pick the best thing to go do that shit. And then it becomes this titan. It becomes too big to fail. And at that point, the CEO needs to be making 100 times, 200 times, 300 times, 400 times what the employees make. To do what? What the fuck does Elon Musk do? Explain that to me. Besides ketamine. All he does is ketamine and piss himself publicly. That's it. And be really bad at video games. In addition to all that, does that warrant making 300 times what Tesla factory workers do? Because I would challenge any one of them works harder than him. Any one of them benefits society more than him. Any one of them is doing more for your life to make your life better than fucking Elon Musk is, right? But that myth has to be propagated. You have to, again, believe all these kind of things and have it reinforced. And as soon as you realize all that, yeah, it's scary. Because you're like, oh shit, the system working as is a disaster. It leads to starvation, climate change, global wars, genocide, imperialism, colonialism, the wealth extraction of the resources of other countries so we in the West can benefit. It's true. You feel a little more guilty when you realize all of that, and it makes you maybe a little bit more sad. But then you get to stop being asleep. You get to wake up and be like, could we change this? And that's what they never want you to think or believe, that a better world is possible. That's why this is all always to numb you, to bring you down and to make you believe and fight all these fucking wars and split us against each other. It's such a benefit to the ruling class to have people who are marginalized fighting one another without even having to be paid to do so. You don't even need to be a CIA agent. You can just get people doing fucking culture war shit online endlessly, and then one group is fighting another group, and that group is fighting another group, and then all of a sudden it's gay versus straight, cis versus trans, black versus white in perpetuity, while rich people, they get to sit back and enjoy the fight because it doesn't challenge them. You're not asking who makes my life shitty, right? Is it your boss or is it trans kids? It's probably your boss, right? It's probably your boss who affects your life a lot more than trans kids do.
Basis at this point. Krystal knows better than anyone. Sagar and Jetty is very critical of going to war in Iran. Very critical. He's not a left winger.
How could you possibly say there isn't a split? How could you possibly say that? And what?
Straw person. Again, yes, Krystal wouldn't disagree with you. You're just putting words in her mouth. I don't know if you know this, Krystal, but your own co-host, yeah, she fucking knows, obviously. Her point remains the exact same as it was before. The point was, hey, are they materially actually trying to do anything? is there a large percentage of MAGA that actually wants to be anti-war or is anti-war, or are they basically people who want to follow Donald Trump? The polling overwhelmingly shows that they are for striking Iran, so they are not anti-war. They are for Donald Trump using military force on a nation that has never attacked us. So the vast majority of them are not, whereas in the other groups right now, Democrats are overwhelmingly against striking Iran, independents are overwhelmingly against striking Iran, and the smallest possible group of people who are actually anti-war is MAGA. It's the smallest one. That was the, like, of all the percentages, it just goes down and down and down. So you're appealing to the smallest possible demographic of people right now, which is a fool's errand, a waste of time, and the cost of it is validating actual fucking racists. Like, Candace Owens is not a good person. There's no reason to be like, we should be working with her, we should be working with our audience.
They'll do, I swear to God, and I know it, they'll move the goalposts. So look, you can look at it, we put the interview up on tyt.com/press. And as you watch it, I just want you to like notice what happens, right? I say I don't agree with Trump, and I say, but I think we can get some of the Trump voters. Honestly, they're not listening at all. Then they just go back to, so here's what's wrong with Trump. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, that's what's wrong with Trump. So let's talk about how to get the voters in the middle. And they're like, okay, now here's what's wrong with Trump. So like, I get frustrated. I'm like, wait, are we having the same conversation here? And so part of that is framing it as, we're tougher and meaner on Trump voters. We got them.
None of this happened. I watched the whole thing. They were telling you to your face, not only is Trump not anti-war, because he's not, and then you're like, no, I agree with you. Okay, well, we're also trying to tell you that MAGA isn't either, because there's a bill going forward. You're aware of this bill? He's like, I am. I'm totally aware. And they're like, are you aware of how many Republicans have signed on to the bill? 1. And he's like, yep, totally aware of that. So in what world is there the situation where they are anti-war? Even the pundits who say that they're America first, which is fucked up, by the way. That's just them saying that they're nationalists. They're part of the Groyper fucking movement and shit like that. But even the America first ones, they'll just be like, no war with Iran, but they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to protest. They're not going to hit the streets. And if you're like, yeah, well, the libs are war too. But I can, with my own eyes, as a Canadian watching American news, see that there was a very large percentage of Democratic voters who were hitting the fucking streets, who don't want to support genocide, who were angry, who were phone calling, who were phone banking, who were demanding that their own constituents do something, who were screaming at them when they were in town halls, who were saying, stop this fucking shit. There was a movement, a anti-war movement to stop that. That continues to this day. And that split that is happening right now is at, yes, the detriment of the Democrats. This is why there's a disconnect between the corporate Democratic elite and you know, the actual will of the American voter right now, who are sick of them. But the pathway forward for that is not, let's work with MAGA. The pathway forward for that is, let's offer an alternative, a Zoran, if you will, someone who can come along and be like, I am not going to throw trans people under the bus. I'm not going to throw queer people under the bus. I am not going to try and be worse on immigration, be worse on the border, be worse on war. I'm going to be anti-genocide. I'm going to proudly speak my mind, but I'm also going to be very, very astute at how to reword a lot of these things, because, yeah, I disagree with people who say that he was using like dog whistles or coded messaging. No. He was having to explain himself to people who might not, voters, who might not have heard these concepts properly for the first time and just know slogans. If he gets on a TV show like Stephen Colbert and then he just gets there and he's like 1312 ACAB, well, then yeah, he's probably not going to be winning anything, right? The average voter is not going to be like, oh yeah, based, yeah. If he even says something like defund the police, I mean, defund the police. I don't think in any way is radical, but there's a lot of voters who are going to be like, oh no, we need the boys in blue, right? We need them to protect us. He said defund the police, but he said it in a much different way. He explained it. He's like, I simply believe that we are asking our police officers to do multiple jobs, many of which they are not equipped to do. Some of them have to be marriage counselors. Some of them have to be, doctors and nurses. And this is not what they are trained to do. I mean, they are not trained to do conflict de-escalation. They are trained to defend themselves first and foremost. And so I want to prioritize them dealing with the violent criminals that we keep talking about that they're supposed to prevent. And in so doing, that we can make society safer, right? When you say it like that, there's no grandmothers who are watching Stephen Colbert and the old folks home who are suddenly going to be like, what? He's a radical. They're going to be like, that makes sense. That does make sense. He just said defund the police. He said that out loud. Yeah, I know, I am for defund the police. but he's saying it in a way that both explains that it's not actually as scary as you think it is, and here's the rationale behind it. I'm going to mix it into a slogan you can understand.
Right? Oh, Cenk, look at him being soft on Trump voters. That's not a real leftist. And as Kyle said, look, man, I don't catch.
Well, I mean, you're not a leftist, number one.
Yeah, right. But I'm on the.
So is it official? Has it finally happened? Or is this the moment? Right. But we still sell that as a brand. So I don't know if we're going there yet. Yeah.
Left, like I'm massively on the left, right? And they're like, leftists don't represent the majority of the left. I mean, whatever words we use, right? Radical left, whatever. They're
right. Wow, good save. Yeah. She's like, well, yeah, you're not a leftist. I mean, we are on the left. The left. I'm not talking about the max left, right? We invented code words for all this.
They're a small sliver, right? But they always make it seem like we're the true left. Well, the polling doesn't indicate that at all, okay? So, Kyle was like, oh yeah, you're coddling them. And he used like some profane language, etc. Like, I'm okay, I'm a grown up. Radical left, because if you go in that direction, they're never gonna say yes. But if you go populist left, core Bernie, economic populism, they will say yes. So please, it's not about watch this show or that show. Watch all the shows, get all of the opinions, okay? Make sure you're getting the facts. And at the end of the day, think through, okay, it's easy for me to get tribal and say, I hate those guys. That's an easy thing. And by the way, Kyle said, you used to do that, and some of you guys wrote in yesterday and stuff. Yeah, first of all, I do it to their politicians all the time.
The politicians
you fight
are
up,
different.
you look up,
yes,
you fight the politicians, okay?
That's the difference.
Right.
I want to emphasize that. I want to say it again because people keep conflating the politicians with the voters. I'm not interested in attacking voters. I am interested in attacking the politicians.
Bingo. And by the way, and look, Krystal and Kyle are pretty good on this, not some of the other shows, but also holding the Democrats accountable.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't hold the Democrats accountable, you got no credibility.
Bingo.
So,
yeah.
The Republicans are terrible and they're all the devil, but the Democrats and Kamala Harris run perfect campaigns and Joe Biden's a saint. You got to be kidding me. No way. But luckily, most people have moved on past that, right? And they were never in that camp in the first place. So look around. Watch everything and then see what do you think is the better strategy. And Kyle said that the better strategy, and repeated online throughout, is we're gonna win the left and liberals and then win the left. But that's what we've been trying to do, and we just lost twice to Trump doing that same exact strategy.
Yeah.
You have to win the anti-establishment voters.
That's not at all what he said. And that's also just a comical reading of what took place. Those, again, that you could not imagine a more center-right campaign than what took place with Kamala Harris. Like, honestly, it's one of those campaigns where, like, she was more aggressive on the border. She wanted to have the most powerful and lethal military in the world. She was just consistently dancing around the idea of being like, hey, I might actually be a little bit better on Gaza. Will she, won't she? It's a surprise. Just wait and see. All those kind of things. Oh, by the way, she did not support make like LGBTQ plus people a centerpiece of her campaign, talking about civil rights as a centerpiece of her campaign. Like, so much of it is basically you got yourself another neoliberal fucking war hawkish center right politician. Yeah. There is a lot of obstacles that you got to overcome to win a presidential election in the United States, and obviously there are extra challenges if you happen to not only be a woman but a multiracial woman. There's going to be a lot of racism and sexism that you're going to face in the process of that, but that has nothing to do with like, yeah, the left coalition just didn't work out there. What left coalition? I'm sorry. Like, are you talking about the fact that Bernie Sanders was like, don't vote for Trump? I agree with Bernie Sanders. Don't vote for Trump. like the strategy that you want, a incredibly tough on crime cop style, center right appeal to the right wing, that failed. That was the failure. Because no, people do not want status quo, and people do not want this whole entire idea of like, yeah, you know, she's probably going to be a little less aggressive on the whole genocide thing. So there's that. I can definitely do a trolley problem, and you know, and even then, it's a myth to believe that Trump blew her out of the water. A lot of people didn't even vote. You know, once again, a very large percentage of people just decided they're either not going to participate in the election or they can't vote for her because of, again, her fucking horrifying policies and the oppressive heat in a lot of the parts of the U.S.
You do that through populist left. I don't even think Kyle and Krystal would disagree with that. I don't know if some of the radicals or the establishment guys will certainly disagree.
Yeah, people did not
maybe some of the radicals will disagree because you can't ever agree with anyone on the other side about anything.
Oh
right?
Yeah, there is people who votes don't
but
count.
overall, please use your mind. Please,
Black Americans,
by that
Native
I don't mean it
Americans.
like in a derogatory way. Use your own independent judgment. Don't take my word for it. Don't take Kyle's word for it. Don't take Rando's word for it. Okay, think through what is the best strategy. Is the best strategy to call the other voters fascists and drive them away? Or is the better strategy say, hey, if you actually do agree with us, we're not going towards you, they're coming towards us.
No one's talking about the other voters, by the way. Not on the left. Like, honestly, there's not enough time. You're seeing the rise of authoritarian fascism in the United States right now. It's basically do activism, hit the streets, fucking find whatever part you can contribute the best in to try to fight up against this. And yeah, accept allies along the way. If the libs are getting radicalized, hell fucking yes. I am super on board for that. Let's get more No Kings rallies, but let's actually make them disruptive and stuff like that. There isn't a world in which the MAGA Republican wants a diet version of their politicians. That the fucking corporate Democrats keep trying this. It does not work. There is no such thing. It is such a weird myth. Like, oh, if we were just a little worse on trans people, met them halfway, if we were just more aggressive on immigrants, more aggressive on the border, more pro-cop, more pro-war, then they would see that there isn't that big of a difference between the two parties. And then, you know, where if you get someone like Zoran, for example, running a far more radical and leftist campaign, but a populist one, like he always talks about, well, yeah, that might be a pathway to start emulating. And also you have to accept the fact that along the way, you are going to be attacked by both sides. You're going to be attacked by corporate Democrats who want status quo above everything else. And of course, right-wingers who fucking hate you. The ones who hate you are not just looking over being like, I really wish I could just hang out with you on the liberal side, but you keep calling me a Nazi, so I'm over here. I gotta stay here, but it does look nice over there. Y'all have brunch, Oprah Winfrey. Is that Eminem? Is that a giant dome in Las Vegas? My God, it looks so much fun. I wish I could just hang out for a little while, but no, you called me a mean name, and so I'm staying over here on the MAGA side.
I will work with them.
Yeah,
I will work with them, period. I don't care. I don't care if they're right wingers. If they are legitimate in being anti-war, not wanting to engage in regime change on that specific issue, yes, I will work with them.
And no one's on the other side of that. There's not a single person who's like, hey, by the way, if every single Republican came forward and they're like, you know what, we're disgusted with Trump, we're going to impeach him right now because he is just basically not who we thought he was and not who we voted for. Yeah, of course, I will celebrate. I will certainly celebrate. If a whole bunch of Republicans suddenly were like, we're going to sign the bills in the House and the Senate that are going to stop Trump from being able to wage war without congressional approval or stop shipping weapons to Israel, I will also celebrate. If all the pundits, from Candace Owens to Tucker Carlson to Matt Walsh to Charlie Kirk to every single one of these supposed anti-war right started actually telling their audiences, hey, by the way, there are things that we could be doing to try and stop going to war. Yeah, that's a good thing. Absolutely, it's good. No one's going to stand in their way. I'm not going to be doing a commentary video on that where I'm like, haha, well, you know what? Because I pick sides and I really hate the Matt Walsh, he's wrong on this issue. Nah. Go forth, Matt Walsh. Tell your audience to call their own senators and representatives and get them to stop Trump's ability to wage war. Go do that. I'll wait. I will wait. I think in silence until I become a living skeleton because I do not believe that day will ever come.
them. You wanna know why? Because preventing war, to me, is more important than being pure to the left. I don't care about the left, I don't care about the right, I care about results. And I'm sorry, this false dichotomy, this BS like tribalism has only hurt the country. On areas where we can work together, we should work together. And I do think that there's a contingent on the right, voters, and yes, a few media folks who are sick of the regime change wars, they're sick of the forever wars, and they're not full of crap, okay? Because they literally say things publicly that could ruin them, but they say it anyway.
Yeah, so look, last couple things here. So on that interview, there was times where Candace went too far.
Yes, supporting Kanye West and all that nasty
stuff. Yeah, I didn't even get to that part. No, that's a disaster. And even when she says, I want regime change in Israel, and Pierce says, yeah, I mean, they should get rid of Netanyahu, also good so far. And then she later talked about using the military in the context of Israel. And I'm like, okay, bring it down, okay?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so now having said that, she's saying some of the things that we on the left, me, Amy Goodman, Bernie Sanders have been saying for 20 years, but we couldn't get anybody to pay attention. And this sucks about American media. It's like super toxic about American media, but it's true. If you say it on the left, they're never gonna.
It's embarrassing. Well, not only is it embarrassing, I just don't see at what point they're going to ever change their path with this one. Like, you would think after your channel bottomed out, your numbers have completely sunk into the toilet, you're doing fucking horrible views wise, but like that doesn't change anything. You've done the circuits, like they've certainly gotten the media circuits where they've gotten to go on all to these shows, they've gotten to go to Turning Point USA, they got to talk to Charlie Kirk, they've gotten to go on their podcast. Anna even got a new right-wing show with a bunch of fucking Patrick Bet David support and funding, all that kind of stuff. Is it giving you what you want? Like, what weird kind of apolitical audience have you carved out for yourself where you both hate wokeness, you hate gender ideology, but you're anti-war, but at the same time, the people whom you hang out with are not actually going to do anything to limit Trump's power, and they're completely fine with war as long as Trump is the one doing it? Really seems like those camps you keep talking about, or the tribalism you keep talking about, has completely solidified itself. Like, I don't get it. I don't get at what point you realize this whole thing was a disaster.
Pay attention. The minute anyone on the right says it, they're like, oh, that's such an interesting point. Oh, you know what? And we'll talk about it later in the show. Tom Massey.
That's why the douchebag from Patrick Bet David show tossed a tampon. Oh, I keep hearing about this, and I haven't actually seen it. Hold on. Let's see if I can find a clip. Adam Sosnick, is that it?
Candace Owens.
I don't understand what you're doing when you're trying to be pro-Hamas and pro-Iran. Hold on.
When you strawman me, it makes this entire exchange fall apart.
So
I'm trying to have an honest exchange
so
with
am
you. I'm not putting words in your mouth. Please don't put words in my mouth.
You can talk when I'm done talking, and that's how this will work. No?
But if you strawman me, and argue that I'm making arguments that I didn't make, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you if you lie about what I'm saying.
So you're a grown-up when you argue. Got it.
I am a grown-up, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you seem very emotional, and I threw you a tissue just in case. I also have a tampon in case you need a tampon.
Adam, she's gonna beat the shit out of you.
That's fine.
What a fucking weirdo. You brought that as a prop? What the fuck? You left your house, you put on a suit, you put fucking grease in your hair, and then you're like, oh, you know what? I might need this. This will be funny later. Yeah. You know, just in case those ladies start, getting a little too fucking talk backy, I can be like, hey, by the way, this is that time of the month. Lol. Fucking the Carrot Top misogynist. Epic.
When they say, hey, what has this? Saying it like I'm almost being patronizing, right? I get it. But that's because so many people say back, no, you can't. You either have to be 100% for Trump or 100% against Trump. Same thing for Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, etc. If you even give them credit on a thing where they're agreeing with you, No, that's toxic, terrible, normalizes.
So, by the way, here's the whole compliant in advance problem, and this is really what's fucking pissing me off about Cenk and this entire rant right now, is this idea where now you should be giving Trump credit because now it feels like, oh, well, it seems like he brokered a ceasefire. What the fuck are you saying? You're supposed to be independent media. You're supposed to be the ones outside of the mainstream media that can recognize even the fact that Trump did a strike on Iran at all is horrifying. He should be condemned. He is a war criminal. Like, why the fuck did the United States just brag about bombing the fuck out of a sovereign nation that didn't directly attack it? And it's like, well, he ramped it down afterwards. Credit? We give him credit for that? What? Israel's still doing a genocide, primarily with the weapons of the United States. Donald Trump right now is the president of the United States. Every single day, another Palestinian starves to death or is shot in the fucking skull. Donald Trump is the chief architect at the front of that. He can pick up the phone, as we all know, because we heard you say it about Joe Biden, at any time. At any time. Instead, he decided to go to Truth Social to do a fucking essay speech about how Benjamin Netanyahu is one of the greatest warriors in history, one of the greatest leaders of Israel in human history, and how he's being unfairly persecuted in his own country, and that he shouldn't go to jail, and that he's going to do everything in his power to use the social media and influence of the United States to make sure that Benjamin Netanyahu remains in power. He's the enemy.
Blah, blah.
Owens, it has been normalized. Okay, she has a massive audience, massive platform.
You don't have to do this. You can also never make it normal. Holy fuck. If someone is just an outright racist bigot who hates gay people, who hates trans people, and has not ramped any of that down, who wants to rehabilitate Harvey Weinstein, who wants to make specials on how Emmanuel Macron's wife has a penis, all that kind of shit, you don't have to be like, hey, she's mainstream now, all right? What do you want us to say? Hey, by the way, Nick Fuentes, he's mainstream. He happens to be really good friends with Ye. He's had dinner with the president of the United States. He's mainstream now. So, I mean, I don't know what you want us to say about the guy, all right? He's mainstream. A lot of people know who he is. I mean, come on. So when he does say something that we agree with, we should probably just be like, you know what? Hey, he's spitting, you know, that neo-Nazi. He is saying some things that we agree with at this moment. Never get in bed with Nazis at all, across the board. If the Nazis are off fighting each other or fighting MAGA or fighting Trump, let them fight. Let them destroy each other. Honestly, every single one of them. That the best possible outcome of that is that they all destroy one another.
There's nothing Cenk and I can do that further normalizes Candace Owens. She's wildly popular.
No, it goes to a super arrogant sense of entitlement that I think actually comes more from the establishment Democrats. And it was perfectly illustrated in the Kamala Harris-Joe Rogan situation. They're like, Kamala shouldn't go on. It would normalize, it would platform Joe Rogan.
Please.
He has 39 million subscribers. He would literally be platforming Kamala Harris, not the other way around. And they're like, no, don't do it. No, but then you're stuck in your own little cave and nobody's platforming you and you're like, I haven't platformed anyone. Yeah, that's why no one have heard from you. Okay, so like he's giving you an opportunity to make your case. And that's another thing I was surprised by. I thought that they would see the bro shows are an open rebellion, right? Rogan again today, beating up Trump on immigration, not even the wars, right? Tim Dillon, Theo Vaughn, massively beating up Israel and saying, what are they doing for us and get out of the wars, etc. I'm like, and they're like, nope, I don't see it. And they said that Rogan was like,
because you don't have to give really shitty people credit for doing the bare fucking minimum of human decency. That's it, right? Like for the Theo Vaughn thing, and I don't hate Theo Vaughn the way I hate Joe Rogan, for example. The guy doesn't have just like a lifetime of being like, I hate queer people, I hate queer people. So, you know, Theo Vaughn just seems like a fucking comedian who's in way over his head all the time and has shitty takes when he's around shitty people and has good takes when he's around good people. And in the case of Theo Vaughn, he has spoken out against the genocide of Palestinians, and then he has on JD Vance. He is sitting across a man who could materially change the outcome of the genocide. And then, you know, he brings it up to JD Vance once after they were friends for what, like 45 minutes of just being like, lol, let's make jokes, let's crack jokes, let's talk about stuff and, you know, talk about how Haitians are eating pets and all that kind of stuff. And then it gets to the point where like eventually he's like, yeah, by the way, I feel like they're doing a genocide. It's sad. And then you just let JD Vance do his propaganda on your show. What benefit is that? that to a lot of Theo Von listeners, and perhaps even a lot of fans of JD Vance, he's normalizing the idea that, well, they care, actually. You know, like, apparently JD Vance is sad. He's like, oh, who can see the images of the children and not feel something for that, right? Like, obviously, yeah, my heart goes out to all those families, but we do need to talk about how this is a war. It's a war, and honestly, wars, they can have casualties. Have you seen Ukraine? And the amount of money that we spent on giving Ukrainians weapons and the suffering that has happened, the amount of people who have died there. I mean, again, you just let him walk all over you. At that moment now, the Theo Von listeners who may have been like, oh, yeah, I agree with Theo. And when he had on Dr. Gabor Mate, I cried alongside both of them. And I realized that it's really fucked up what we're doing and we need to stop it. Now, all of a sudden, a lot of them are probably not going to be wanting to write letters or donate to, you know, UNRWA or Canvas or actually protest or actually demand that their governments not be complicit in genocide anymore. They're going to be like, JD Vance cares. It doesn't sound like he is, pro-genocide. It kind of sounds like he basically feels really bad for the kids who are dying, and then that's where he's putting himself.
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwick, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs. That's patreon.com.